stop scrolling for 60 seconds. Because right now, living inside your gut, there is a single bacteria that may decide whether your own immune system is strong enough to shrink a stage 4 cancer down to nothing, or whether it just stands there and does nothing at all. Most people have never even heard its name. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what it is, why it matters, and exactly what to eat to grow more of it. I am Dr. William, and this channel is dedicated to practical, evidence-based senior health. If you have not subscribed yet, do that now so you never miss what we cover. Here's what nobody tells you about colon cancer. It isn't really a story about a tumor. It's a story about your immune system losing a fight it was built to win. Every single day, your body produces abnormal cells. That is not rare. It is normal. It happens in all of us, at every age. What is supposed to happen next is that your immune system, an army of soldiers patrolling your bloodstream around the clock, spots that abnormal cell and takes it out before it becomes anything at all. Most people believe cancer is something that simply appears out of nowhere, like bad luck striking at random. What's actually happening inside your body is closer to a security breach, a moment when your own defense system fails to notice the threat, or notices it and fails to respond in time. Think about it like a police force patrolling a neighborhood. Most of the time, the patrol car just drives past, nothing to report. But every so often, it spots something out of place, and it responds immediately before that small problem becomes a much bigger one. Your immune system works exactly the same way inside your body, 24 hours a day, whether you're aware of it or not. And here's the part that should genuinely alarm you. A microscopic tumor can only grow to about 2 to 3 millimeters, roughly the size of the tip of a pen, without a blood supply. It needs oxygen and nutrients to grow past that size, exactly like anything else alive needs food and air. So your body has a second natural defense sitting right alongside your immune system. It starves early cancer of blood vessels, keeping it trapped at that microscopic, harmless size. This process even has a name in medicine, anti-angiogenesis, which simply means preventing new blood vessels from forming where they shouldn't. But if blood vessels do manage to reach that tiny cluster of cells, research has shown it can expand up to 16,000 times in size in as little as 2 weeks. That is not a typo. 2 weeks. Researchers sometimes describe this as blood vessels gone wild. A tumor that was otherwise trapped and harmless, suddenly given a direct line to fuel and growing explosively because of it. This is actually why certain modern cancer drugs work by specifically cutting off that blood supply. One of them, bevacizumab, is approved for colorectal cancer and works on this exact principle. No blood supply, no growth. So what does that mean for you? It means the real question isn't, do I have abnormal cells somewhere in my body right now? You do. Everyone does. At every age, every single day. The real question is whether your immune system and your blood vessel control are strong enough to keep shutting those abnormal cells down before they ever become something you can feel, something that shows up on a scan. This is where one of the biggest breakthroughs in modern oncology comes in: immunotherapy. Unlike chemotherapy, which attacks cells directly and often damages healthy tissue along the way, immunotherapy doesn't attack the cancer itself. It wakes your own immune system back up and lets it do the job it was already built to do. Cancer cells are sneaky. They wrap themselves in a kind of molecular cloak, so your immune system scrolls right past them without noticing, the same way you might scroll past a message in your inbox without registering it. A newer class of drugs, called checkpoint inhibitors, literally pulls that cloak off. Your immune system sees the threat again clearly, and it responds the way it was always designed to respond. Doctors now look for specific markers in a tumor biopsy to predict who is most likely to respond well to this kind of treatment. One marker is called microsatellite instability, essentially a sign that the tumor's genetic material is unstable, which tends to make it more visible and more vulnerable to an activated immune system. Others are proteins called PD-1 and PDL-1, which are part of the exact cloaking mechanism we just talked about. If you or someone you love has been diagnosed with colon cancer, this is a question genuinely worth asking directly. Has my tumor been tested to see if I qualify for immunotherapy? It's a simple question, and for some patients, the answer changes everything about their treatment plan. Here's the astonishing part, and it's the reason this entire field is often described as a revolution rather than just an improvement. In patients who respond well, doctors have watched stage 3 and even stage 4 cancer, the kind typically considered end stage, the kind patients are told to prepare for the worst around, regress all the way down to stage 0. Not everyone responds this way, and researchers are still working hard to understand why. But for the patients who do, it is genuinely one of the most remarkable outcomes in modern medicine. Then, in 2017, something happened that changed how doctors think about all of this. Researchers studying cancer patients on checkpoint inhibitors noticed something strange. Some patients responded beautifully. Their immune systems seemed to switch on and go to work almost immediately. Others, given the exact same treatment, the exact same drug, at the exact same dose, barely responded at all. For a long time, nobody understood why. It wasn't about how advanced the cancer was. It wasn't obviously about age or fitness or general health in the way doctors usually measure it. When scientists finally compared the two groups closely, the difference wasn't genetics. It wasn't lifestyle in the way we usually think about that word: diet, exercise, sleep. It was a single bacteria living in the gut called Akkermansia muciniphila. Patients who had healthy levels of this bacteria in their microbiome tended to respond to immunotherapy. Patients who didn't have it tended not to respond, regardless of everything else about their case. When researchers transplanted this specific bacteria into lab animals who weren't responding to treatment, something remarkable happened. Those animals suddenly began responding to the exact same therapy that had done nothing for them before. That is not a small finding. That is a jaw-dropping one. It suggests your gut bacteria may be quietly, silently deciding how well your own immune system is able to fight cancer, long before you ever end up in an oncologist's office. So, what does this mean for you? It means the conversation about cancer prevention and treatment can no longer stop at eat healthy and exercise. It has to go deeper, down to the trillions of bacteria living in your colon right now, because they appear to be directly wired into how your immune system performs when it matters most. I've seen a version of this pattern in practice more times than I can count. Not all specifically, but the same underlying story, again and again. I had a patient in his 50s who came in exhausted, inflamed, and convinced his body had simply given up on him. He'd been to several doctors, been told his labs were basically normal, and left feeling like nobody could explain what was happening to him. Once we shifted the focus toward rebuilding his gut health specifically, rather than chasing each individual symptom one at a time, his inflammation markers dropped noticeably, and his energy came back within a few months. He later told me it felt like getting his life back. The gut is not a side character in your health story. For a huge number of people, it is the main one, quietly running the show behind almost every symptom they've been trying to solve separately. Here's what's actually happening inside your body when your gut bacteria are healthy and balanced. A well-balanced microbiome lowers chronic low-grade inflammation throughout your entire body, and chronic inflammation is one of the primary conditions that allows abnormal cells to survive undetected in the first place. It also directly supports and activates your immune system, the same army of cells we talked about earlier, strengthening its ability to patrol and respond. On top of that, a healthy gut microbiome improves how your body processes nutrients, and even influences mood and stress levels through what researchers call the gut-brain axis. An imbalanced gut, something researchers call dysbiosis, may be one of the hidden contributors to cancer risk that has been sitting in plain sight for decades. simply because it doesn't show up on a standard blood panel the way cholesterol or blood sugar does. Now, about the common mistake. Most people, when they think about protecting themselves from colon cancer, focus almost entirely on what to avoid: cutting out red meat, cutting out alcohol, cutting out processed food. And those things do matter. We'll get to them. But this misses half the picture entirely. The other half, the half almost nobody talks about, is what you need to actively add in order to feed and grow the specific bacteria that appear to determine how well your immune system performs. You can eliminate every risk factor on the list and still be missing this piece. So what actually grows a bacteria like Akkermansia and strengthens your gut's cancer-fighting power more broadly? Here are the most important steps, ranked by impact, starting with the one that matters most. Number 1, and by far the most important, dietary fiber. This is not a small effect. One study found that for every 5 to 6 grams of daily fiber a patient consumed, about what you'd get from a single medium-sized pear, mortality in cancer patients receiving immunotherapy dropped by 30%. Read that again. 30% from something as simple and accessible as fruit, vegetables, beans, and whole grains. Most people are eating a fraction of the fiber their gut bacteria actually need to thrive. And this single change may be the highest leverage thing you can do, whether you're trying to prevent illness or support your body through treatment. Number 2, polyphenol-rich foods, specifically ones containing compounds called elegotannins. Pomegranate, dried cranberries, and pure Concord grape juice have all been shown in research to help grow Akkermansia naturally inside the gut. Oats do the same thing. So surprisingly, do whole grain chili flakes, the kind you might sprinkle on a pizza, and Chinese black vinegar, the kind traditionally served alongside soup dumplings. These aren't exotic, expensive supplements you have to track down online. They're ordinary foods you can add to your week starting tonight at your regular grocery store. Number 3, colorful, polyphenol-packed produce more broadly. Bell peppers, berries, leafy greens, and the deeply colored vegetables you'll find in the produce section or at a farmer's market. These feed healthy bacteria across your entire microbiome, not just one specific strain, and they lower inflammation at the same time. Number 4, brassica vegetables specifically. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, and arugula. These contain natural compounds called isothiocyanates, including sulforaphane, which research suggests can help cut off blood supply to abnormal cells and lower inflammation at a cellular level. This connects directly back to that anti-angiogenesis process we talked about earlier, starving problem cells of the blood supply they need to grow. Number 5, healthy fats and omega-3s. Extra virgin olive oil contains polyphenols like hydroxytyrosol and oleocanthal, both linked to lower inflammation, and omega-3 fatty acids, found not just in salmon, but in anchovies, sardines, mackerel, cod, halibut, and even shellfish like mussels and clams, appear to have similar anti-inflammatory and anti-angiogenic properties. And number 6, the one most people don't want to hear but need to, reducing the things that quietly suppress your immune system in the background. Excess alcohol, smoking, a sedentary lifestyle, and ultra-processed foods loaded with additives and preservatives don't directly cause cancer on their own in most cases, but they weaken the very defense systems, your immune system and your gut bacteria, that are supposed to be catching problems early every single day without you ever noticing them doing it. Here's the good news, the part most people never actually hear in these conversations. Your body already has the tools to do this. It isn't waiting on a new drug to be invented or a breakthrough that hasn't happened yet. Green tea contains polyphenols called catechins that have been shown to help cut off blood supply to abnormal cell growth. Coffee contains chlorogenic acid, which also appears to lower inflammation. This isn't food replacing medicine, and I want to be very clear about that because it's an important distinction. This is food working alongside medicine, helping your body get more out of whatever treatment it may need, and helping prevent problems from developing in the first place. So here's what to remember, because this is the part worth screenshotting. 1. Colon cancer risk is less about a single dramatic cause and more about whether your immune system is catching abnormal cells early, the way it's designed to, every single day of your life. 2. A healthy gut microbiome, and specifically bacteria like Akkermansia, appears to directly influence how well modern cancer treatments actually work, not just whether you get sick in the first place. 3. The single highest impact food change you can make, backed by real research, is simply increasing your daily fiber intake. 4. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed, ask specifically whether the tumor has been tested for immunotherapy markers like microsatellite instability, PD-1, or PDL-1. 5. Start today, not with a drastic overhaul of your entire diet, but with one fiber-rich food and one polyphenol-rich food added to what you already eat. Most people don't connect these two things, but they should. What's happening in your gut and what's happening in your immune system are the same story, told from two different organs. You cannot fully understand one without paying attention to the other, and for years, medicine largely treated them as separate conversations. Now, I want to know where you stand. Comment A if you're already eating fiber-rich foods regularly and feel good about where you're at. Comment B if this is the first time you've heard of Akkermansia and gut bacteria affecting cancer treatment outcomes. Comment C if you have a loved one currently going through cancer treatment and this gave you a specific question to ask their doctor. I read every comment, and if you found this useful, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because chances are you already know someone this applies to.